about almost 3 years now. That market's kind of new as well. So the high-speed disc market kind of came, 6, 7, 8 years ago. There's a lot of companies that have an option now to do this. The customers that are running these tools now, and maybe some of you have one of these, but basically we're looking at residue management in the fall, doing it quickly. So this is a 10 to 14 mile an hour tool. We can run a little slower, 8.5 to 9, but you really want 10 out of it. So it's designed the way we throw the soil from the front to the rear to the basket to run at the 10 miles an hour. That's the best job you're going to get, is at that high speed. But with 10 miles an hour, that takes a lot of horsepower. So I believe this is the 25 foot. You're looking at 15 to 20 horsepower a foot. All right, so you'll see it today. The fastest you can probably pull this, and this is 4 inches we'll be running today. We can go up to 6. In the fall, you see normally 3.5 to 4.5. The springs 2 to 3.5. So depending on what you want to do with it, this 4.5 is a good option to do what we're doing today, as far as just turning over some weeds and getting ready for maybe a cover crop seeding. But it takes a lot of horsepower. So you get to like the 35 footer, you'll need almost like a 9620 is only the tractor that can pull that. If you get to the 40 foot model, you can run in the spring with no problems with 9620. But in the fall, if you're wanting to go 4.5 inches deep, a 9620 will struggle running this tool at 10 mile an hour. So they take horsepower. That's kind of the name of the game. The VT isn't far off, but this one also takes a lot of horsepower. All right, so right now, as far as depth, I mentioned 2 to 6 inches. The way we have it set up, there's a sticker right here. You just put the stops down that you want to run. So if you want to run, right now we're at 4 inches. You throw the stops down, and you put the same in the front and the rear, and that will set up your 4 inches of depth. All right, so we do have some updates coming on this tool. There will be a single point crank coming very soon, in this spring actually. So if that's something you're interested in, I'd just talk to a salesman. There will be updates, so you only have to do it at the crank and not at each area. But that being said, this is very simple. A lot of guys really like it because you just set it, let it go, and it's there to go. So basically we want to always set the front and the rear the same for depth. So if you have 5 in the front but 5 in the back, and then basically you have to run the baskets down all the time. So some competitors can raise the baskets. The front and the rear disc depth is set from the basket cylinder and the front of the tool cylinder. So you do run that tool down all the time. Like right now, when we're running through the field with it out like this, the basket's going to turn because it's on the ground, and that's how it's designed to run. There's no problem with that. We don't want to raise the tool with those big tilt cylinders. So you see those two big tilt cylinders, that's meant to fold it. That's not meant to raise it. So this tool is very heavy, and you can probably see that. We don't want to raise it up and run with that tool up like that. It's just a lot of stress in the cylinders. Can have issues with seals, and just overall just not meant to do that. All right, when we operate the tool, you'll see it when we run it today. The main tilts I just talked about, and then the fold cylinders, you'll always want those in float. So you float those cylinders, and then basically that tool can flex, and the weight of the tool will keep it level going through the field. All right, so you'll usually do a time D10 on 1 and 2 for your depth, and you'll float 3 and 4. You just D10 it, and you'll run it. On this field here, the way we'd actually run this field, we would actually do headlands first, 2 to 3, probably 3 passes on the headlands, and then this tool is meant to stay in the ground and not even raise on the ends. So you'll work the headlands, and then we'll set up our auto track, and we'll do skip pass through the field with it in the ground. The reason we do that is a few reasons. So you get more ground covered if we do it that way. We do a better and more consistent job, mainly because if we raise the tool up with SCV 1 and 2, we make our turn, we put the tool back in the ground, it loads the tractor, we start bumping our shifter to get our speed up to 10 again. We normally have 100 to 150 yards of tillage that isn't exactly what we wanted. When we leave it in the ground, we can just go down to 8 mile an hour within the ground, make the turn, bump it right back to 10, and almost have no area where we have that low speed tillage. So we really want at least 8.5, 9 out of this, preferably 10, running the tool to do the job it needs to do. All right. Options wise, we have the notch blade in the front, smooth in the rear. That's the most common right now in Illinois. We do have a notch option that's also pretty popular. The smooth option isn't really meant for this area. So that's more of a wheat country type of blade configuration. But we always want the notch in the front. The smooth in the rear can sometimes make a little leveler or smoother seed bed in the spring, and also a little less prone to plugging in some really green stalk conditions. But the notch is kind of a more penetrating it penetrates a little bit better sometimes, more aggressive with residue, maybe not as level in the spring, and can plug a little easier in green stalk. Both those options are not bad though, they're both good for this area. As far as finishing, so this is a cage roller. It's the most popular in Illinois by far. There's two other options. There's a rubber roller and then there's a spring tine roller. Your rubber roller is a premium for rocks. If you have rocks, a lot of guys like to roll those rocks in, as well as make a firm seed bed. So if you want a firm seed bed, you have rocks, the rubber roller is a really nice option. As far as the most universal and finishing option without rocks is the cage roller. And then the spring tine roller, I don't really recommend a whole lot. I think this one handles clods better and higher residue. The spring tine, we have some other competitors that run the spring tine. If you came from that and you really liked it, it's not a bad option. I just think this one's a little bit more universal, better with clod management, just more made for this Illinois area. All right, that's kind of the gist of the 2680H. Size-wise, we do go all the way down to 8 foot. That's an integral unit. Then we go to a 2-section unit up to 24 foot. And then we have our 3-section sizes that go up to 45. 45 footer is not really made for this area. It's more of a wheat country, Canada, North Dakota.